Hi folks, this is Sue Bell from Market Domination Solutions, and today we're going to talk about digital marketing audit. So let's just jump right in. Let's talk about the advantages of a marketing audit and kind of give an overview a little bit. A marketing audit gives you an in-depth analysis as to the state of digital marketing today, either for your own business or for a client's business. And you're going to take a look at the competitors and where they're at, what they're doing that's driving results and interest and traffic. I mean, you can't see what's actually driving their sales, but we can look at indicators and figure that out from there. And then when you combine that with the goals and the budget, then all of this information comes together to construct what the most appropriate actions are going to be for the next 30 days, the next quarter, the next 12 months that are going to meet those goals and still stay within the budget. So today we're going to do kind of an overview, what the audit entails. First thing you need to do, obviously, is sell the audit. That's a whole other concept that we deal with a bit separately. Then you're going to go through, collect all of the data and format it into a presentation. You're going to actually do the presentation. We'll talk a bit about that. And then you want to engage the client while you're doing the presentation. And then at the end of it, the whole purpose of this is to close them on a marketing plan. Now, I have two different kinds of audits that I do. One is just the website audit, and that's something that's pretty easy to do with a product like SERPed. I like SERPed, S-E-R-P-E-D, because their audit is pretty much in line with how I look at SEO. It's what, like, the suggestions that they make are suggestions that I feel are valuable. And a lot of the website audits, they do stuff that I think is just completely off base or strange. But I like SERPed, so I tend to use that when I'm just doing a website audit, and I will do that website audit for free. But the digital marketing audit, companies charge up to $2,000 for an audit, and I vary my price depending on what I'm doing and where I'm at. I sell it for someplace between $500 and $1,500, but on the sales page, I have the price set at $1,500, so they know they're getting a deal when they pay less than that. All right, so completing an audit, the things that are associated with actually doing the audit, I need to sit down and understand the customer persona identification. We look at the channel gap analysis and the content. So, in other words, what the competitors are doing versus what this company is doing, and where there are gaps in both social and in content. Social media gap analysis is the next one. Then current web presence evaluation, and that's a really long worksheet. It encompasses a lot of things. That includes keyword rankings. It includes determining the appropriate schema, and by that I mean I look at the top competitors, at what they're using. I look at several different primary keywords. I look at things that's causing SERP's real estate. Like, a lot of times you'll see, for different queries, you'll see different schema creating entries in the SERPs. So I want to look at that particular market and see what kind of real estate I can abscond with there. And then we run Screaming Frog on the site and interpret the results there. I also tend to run Screaming Frog on a couple competitor sites just for that gap analysis stuff. And then I take a look at the Google Search Console, and I also take a look at analytics, but there's more information in Search Console in terms of stuff that can be wrong, stuff that needs to be fixed. And then I look at Moz and Majestic in terms of figuring out what the trust flow and the citation flow is, and I still do that, and I still present it, and it still has an effect. But I will say that over the course of the last 14 months, Google is changing radically again. It's the same kind of change as what you saw when they went away from PageRank. I don't think they ever really went away from PageRank, but they completely recalibrated how PageRank is calculated, and I think that that's basically what they're doing now. They've been in the process of recalculating PageRank again. So going off of those ideas of trust and citation, I oftentimes see folks ranking in the number 1 position, number 2 position that strictly from a trust and citation perspective doesn't look like they should be there. And a lot of that I think has to do with both schema and content on page. Content on page is a big one. So David asks, do I offer this service for agencies on a white label basis, or is this service only available to my end user clients? I can offer this. Yeah, I can white label it for you. Absolutely. Talk to me afterwards. Yeah. Are we on Skype, David? That's the best way to get a hold of me. Let me give you my Skype. I'm sure you got my email. Okay, good. So Google Search Console review, trust and citation. That's where I was in domain authority. All right. So, and then the last thing is to identify the KPIs. So when you identify the KPIs, this requires some information from the business owner that at first they might be reluctant to give you, or they might give you very broad, vague things, or things that they don't really mean. And so that's why as I get on a little bit further into the conversation and you actually start doing the presentation part of the KPIs, like that needs to be a discussion, because once they've heard your pitch, once they've seen everything that's gone into the audit, a lot of times those KPIs will change. So the worksheets, let me grab a link for the worksheets, because what I did, you guys know, I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have got and been into the massive spreadsheet battle plan. So this is a subsection of the battle plan that's just dealing with the digital marketing audit, so that we can be a little bit more focused today. You can take this away and run with it. Okay, great, David. So, third-party tools that you're going to need to complete the process are all listed in the worksheet. Most of them are free, or you can get free trials and stuff like that. Notably, you'll need Screaming Frog, and if you have a larger site, you'll need to get the paid version for that. I forget how many pages the free version runs up to. And it works for most smaller sites, but definitely for the larger sites, you'll need something. You'll need the paid version. So that's one thing to consider. And Sprout Social is also very useful for collecting social data quickly. I have not used it in a long time, but it's in my list of tools. And I doubt that they've changed significantly from a year ago when I put that in there. So the worksheets we've got are the customer persona worksheets, the current web presence eval worksheet, the schema audit, the content gap analysis, the social media gap analysis, and identifying the KPIs. This particular video, this will go into the overview section in this module. So I'll also include links to all of the other individual sections so that you'll be able to access them quickly. You'll be able to see what they are and just bounce right to them, as well as the worksheets themselves. So this is just a sample of the output. And I've got 2 or 3 samples of the outputs, right? I've got one that's got an entire, awesome. I've got one that's an entire proposal, and I don't do proposals the way that I've got the proposal in Extreme anymore. I need to go in and break that down, because what I was finding, that proposal is from just over a year ago. And what I was finding is I put in a whole bunch of work into that. I put in a an abbreviated digital marketing audit, and wow, like it could take, 20, 30 hours to put together the proposal. And then when somebody says, don't think so, they've got a lot of information and they've gotten it for free, because that's the idea with the proposal, right? So that's why I have shifted toward doing audits. And again, all of this is going to come with that course that I'm talking about for agencies, in terms of how you can restructure your website so that you're not giving all of that information away for free. You're not putting in 20 to 40 hours on a proposal just to have somebody say, don't think so, thanks, bye. And then they've got a whole bunch of information that they can go to your competitors and get prices, like pennies on the dollar kind of prices, because they wouldn't do nearly the same thorough kind of job. What are KPIs? They're key performance indicators, and so they're the benchmarks that you use to understand whether or not what it is that you're doing is on track to meet your goals. So they're like touch points in the middle of your timeline, so that both you and your client know whether or not this is on the right track. So I've got some samples of some of the outputs here for what the digital marketing audit actually looks like. What do you like to use client recognized for KPI? So I find KPIs are quite often individual. I'm not, how can I say this? They're basically the same in terms of, like, we want to have X amount of traffic on the website. We want to have X number of opt-ins, but it depends on what the goals are. So, like, if the goals are I need sales yesterday, then I'm going to go more toward a paid ad perspective than some of the things that take longer to get traction. And so then we're going to look at, what do they already have in place? If this needs to happen quickly, do you already have a funnel? Do you already have some kind of a nurturing system? What do we need to do along those lines? And so if they don't have a nurturing system already, that's a pretty hefty funnel to come up with the email autoresponders. By hefty, I mean it's both time consuming and expensive. So I tend not to go that route. If they have a nurturing system, then that becomes part of the KPIs. If they don't have a nurturing system, then it doesn't become part of the KPIs. So if it's just straight up, like, all I got is my website, then I'll take the page that looks like it's going to convert the best off the website. I'll clone it, make it so it doesn't index, and start doing some split testing with some ads to see what we can do. And my goal right up front is to get a landing page that's going to convert well. And then from there, we can just drive traffic and they can make money. And we can branch out and do other things. So the KPIs, depending on their goals and what they need, the KPIs are staged differently. If they're wanting to come in with website rankings, if that's their primary goal, then the goal is going to be, the KPIs are going to be more like, okay, getting the website up in this period of time and getting rankings in this period of time and getting traffic and that sort of thing. So they change around. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question, TJ? Pull up the KPI spreadsheet too. I need to do an entire webinar. There's going to be an entire webinar on this spreadsheet, which I don't think is there yet. Because some of these things they need a whole other document in order to be well explained. There's the basics on the KPIs, but there's more to it than just that. Okay. So TJ says thinking more in terms of SEO or traffic or ranking options. So oh, there might be more there. Let me click on it. Sometimes GoTo hides it. Or options, etc., that are more useful. So from that perspective, you want to take a look at where we've got the website um, worksheets, and you've got the keywords. You want to look at the keywords that are going to be low-hanging fruit, right? You're going to target those first because you can usually rank for a lot of those in the first 30 to 90 days. And so what I would probably do is rework that keyword spreadsheet so that you've got, this is a set of keywords that I'm targeting in the first 60 days. I don't ever say that I'm going to get results in 30 days unless I'm insane, which I might be right at the moment, but we won't go into that. Anyway, these are the results I'm going to get in the first. So here's the thing. Certifiable, thanks. Um, if you have a really large website, if you publish a website that is at least 200 pages, you're going to rank for the low-hanging fruit a whole lot faster than you are if you've got a 20 or 30 page website. If you have a 20 or 30 page website, you have a lot of work ahead of you. And it's going to take a minimum of 60 days to get your low-hanging fruit to start to pop. The easiest thing you can do is have a bigger website. And that's going to just the inherent authority that comes along with a lot of pages is going to make your low hanging fruit keywords pop really fast. And I can safely say within 2 weeks. And that's why at the moment I'm guaranteeing 30 days. So, the minions are crazy. They're pointing fingers at each other. It's delightful. Upper limit diminishing returns are the opposite effect. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that upper limit. For number of pages, I haven't found one yet. Well, I will say this: you have to have um, a significant percentage of unique content on each page. Otherwise, you can forget it. You have to have content on your pages, I have a minimum of 1,000 words on my pages. I talk about that in another webinar. And if you're not doing that, then Google won't index the vast majority of your pages if it sees too many of them to be similar. I also don't launch with more than about 500 pages. I let Google digest that first and then come back and launch with more. So that's where I'm going to look at what are the most important keywords, what are the most important areas. I'm not going to get the most competitive keywords bang out of the box. No matter what I do, but I'll get neighborhoods in the most important areas. So, I probably won't get, for example, I'm not going to get Phoenix, but I'll get the little burbs in Phoenix. So, so that can drive a significant amount of traffic that way. And then I can wrap back over the course of the year. That's why I do a 1-year contract along with it. I wrap back over the course of the year, and I can nail pretty much all of the keywords at this juncture. So I would say don't launch with more than 500, and then you can add more as you go along. I haven't got any sites that have got more than about 1 to 2,000 pages. I think I just said keywords. I meant pages. I don't have any sites that have got more than 1 to 2,000 pages right at the moment, but not because I think it's a limitation, just because that's what I'm selling at the moment, right? I'm selling up to 500 pages and up to 1,000 pages. So if they want more than that, they have to pay pretty heftily, and that's just not the market that I'm targeting. Okay, so KPIs. So just some sample pages. We've got the whole, in the members area, we've got the the entire deck, sample deck, and I'll have that reworked within the next few days to be current to what I'm doing right now. So the presentation and the close, this is important. So, I can speak from personal experience. You guys know I'm a geek by nature. I'm not an extrovert. That's not that's not how I was drawn, right? I've had to like erase lines and redraw them to be more of an extrovert. I'm a geek and I'm an introvert, and so I have a tendency of just going into an automat. When I pull out the slides, I start just talking. I don't ask questions. My first few, right? And those went poorly. And, um, right? Some of you guys are saying you used to be too. So, being in marketing changes that. Um, so you need to slow down. You need to watch body language, and when you see a shift in body language, you need to ask them what's going on. So, and you need to ask questions. You need to engage them as you're going through this, and then particularly, as I said earlier, during the KPI section, make sure you ask a lot of questions and make it obvious that you're wanting to work with them, that you're designing a custom tailored solution for them. So one of the things that I've been really, really, really trying to do in the last 120 days is make everything on the agency side of what I'm doing um, easily repeatable, because it's not scalable if it's not repeatable, right? So I'm trying to chunk everything down, and that can seem like it's going to turn it into a machine. And so I want to stress with them at this point that it's not a machine. And the way that it's not a machine is because we're looking at what their goals are, and everything is chunked down into small enough chunks so that we can say, okay, this is going to be the priority this quarter, this is going to be the priority this quarter. And then when I come back to my team, based off of what those priorities are, we take different aspects of the worksheets and different aspects of our process map, and those things come first. So you can actually offer customized and tailored products for your clients, but it has to still stay within your hedgehog. It's got to still stay within those aspects that you already have worked out, that you've already got laid out in spreadsheets and worksheets and process maps, so that somebody can just sit down and go through it. Where we lose money as agencies is trying to go and figure stuff out for one person, right? It's completely possible to spend months figuring out one particular aspect for one particular client. And while you're doing that, and while you're trying to make that work, you're not able to be out there selling, and you're not able to be providing the same level of support for your other clients. Like all the wheels come off, right? So, exactly. So, the E-myth, the business is a system. Exactly. Exactly. So you can systematize it, but you just have to have the system small enough so that they can be fluid. All right. What is a hedgehog? A hedgehog is where you define what it is that you do. I just came across a term, excuse me, called full stack digital marketing. I don't know why I hadn't come across it before, because it's I think it's lent from programming, full stack programming. And what it means is doing everything in the digital marketing realm. Yeah, exactly. and and I see a lot of my members trying to be essentially full stack when they don't have any specialty. So So one of the things that I'm going to talk about in the course or in the modules for the agency is to start with something, perfect something. Let that one thing be the only thing that you sell. That becomes your hedgehog. When you're really good at that, then you can branch out to another thing if you want to. There's sometimes, if you pick the right thing, then you can just go to town with that, right? You don't have to do anything else. But then once you're good at that, and once you've got it into a set of repeatable tasks and you can outsource it and do it in your sleep, then you can branch out and do the next thing, and then your hedgehog can grow, right? So I'm not saying that you pick a hedgehog and you stick to that hedgehog, but it is completely possible to pick one thing and stick to that hedgehog. It just depends. But I definitely, if you're starting out as an agency, do not attempt to do everything in the digital marketing realm, because it is just too much and you will go broke. All right. So the whole point of this, wrapping back to where we were at, is that during the KPI conversation, you're asking a lot of questions. You're making it obvious that you want to work with them, that this is a communication, this is a joint thing, that you're providing what it is that they need. So long as, and sometimes it's just not a match, right? But so long as what they need is what you provide, then, you're helping them with their business as opposed to you're selling them something. All right, so getting started. In the top right corner of all of the sheets in the digital marketing spreadsheet, I'm going to have that link that's going to go right smack to that webinar and to that page in the members area that shows you and talks to you about what you need to do the fulfillment for that. And on most of those, I've got a 30-minute webinar walkthrough, and the rest of them are going to have short videos. And this is mostly an evergreen process, but from time to time, my process or approach does change, and when that happens, I'll do a new webinar. Any more questions? You guys have been a lively bunch today. I really appreciate it. All right, good. I see a couple of you guys pinging me in Skype, so I will get to you, and we can always continue the conversation in Facebook. So thanks a lot, folks. I appreciate your time, and we'll have lots of fun stuff coming up this month. We'll be back soon. Keep a watch on Facebook for the latest. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.